Hey there everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Carlotta if you're new here, and this is my channel, Frank and Beans Books, where I talk about books and vlogs and just a bunch of other things. Excuse me. Ugh. Anyway, today I thought I would film my July wrap-up. It is the 30th of July, so tomorrow's the last day, and I thought what perfect timing to film everything that I've read this month. So we will begin at the beginning. So the first book I read this month, and if I'm looking down, it's because I have my computer with notes on it about the books, just so I don't forget anything I know I want to say. So the first book I read was actually on audiobook, and it was The Deep by River Solomon. And I read this on audiobook, so if I can figure it out. And that's a big if. I will put a picture of what the book looks like right here. If not, just Google it. So the book is about a civilization of mer people that have developed over time from slave women that were thrown off slave ships coming to America, I'm assuming. So this civilization lives underwater, and there is a mer person chosen to be the historian. And the historian essentially holds all the memories of the ancestors and their civilization. It's a really big burden on that person, or the mer person. And so essentially the book is about the struggle of holding all those memories and that like weight on them, knowing what everyone else doesn't know about how they became who they are. So I gave the book 3 stars. I did, like I said, read it on audiobook, which I think in the end hindered my experience because there were a few scenes that I didn't completely understand where we were in the book or in versus the timeline, because it does sort of bounce back and forth through timeline a little bit from like the ancestors to present day. And so that threw me off a little bit, but overall it was a really good book. It was only like a 4-hour audiobook, so it was really fast. I do recommend it just because it is so fast, such a fast read, that if you are interested, I would suggest picking it up. I think I might want to pick it up again and actually read it versus the audiobook, because I feel like that would be a better experience. So the next book I read was Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, and it essentially follows 2 main characters, although we do get the perspective of about 5. But it follows the main characters of Simon, who is considered the chosen one, born from normal people, and the other perspective of Baz, who is a vampire and born from like the old magical families. And it's about their relationship. They have sort of roomed together, which is like chosen for them, from the beginning of their schooling at Watford, I believe is what it's called. And this follows their 8th year at the school, which is essentially their final year. And it's sort of like a play off of Harry Potter in the sense of like the chosen one. They have to defeat like this big evil thing. I did rate it 4.5 stars. The only reason to me it didn't get 5 stars was the character, the Maj / Davy. This is kind of a spoiler, so skip ahead if you want. I didn't understand his motivation behind like wanting to kill, to become the chosen one, to defeat, I can't remember the villain's name, but to defeat sort of like the villain. It didn't really make sense to me. His background wasn't very touched on, so his motivation just made no sense. And the ending was sort of like, really? So I wish we got more background on Davy / the Maj. Also, not Penelope. The one character really pissed me off. I don't even remember her name. Let's see. Agatha. She pissed me off. Anyway, that's Carry On. The next book I read was I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. Was this book one? Tiny, super fast read. This book was a wild ride. So it's a slow burn suspense thriller, and the storyline is Jack or Jake. No, I can't even remember. I want to say it's Jake. He is bringing his unnamed girlfriend, we never find out the name of her, to his parents' house, which is on a farm in the country. And so the book is essentially 3 different scenes, one being the drive to the farm, the second being the dinner with the parents, and the third at a high school. And I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was very suspenseful. There were many times I had to put it down and remind myself, this isn't reality. You are here. Everything's fine. Just because it was so like mind fucking in a way. And it was really good. The ending, there was one thing about the ending that like I still had questions on. And this isn't a spoiler necessarily because we never find out, but like I never understood the concept of the caller. Like, who is the caller? We never find out, and I would have loved to find out. It is going to be a Netflix adaptation, as it says on the cover, so I'm very excited to see how Netflix adapts it into like a movie, I'm assuming. So that'll be really exciting. Hopefully maybe we'll find out who the caller is in there, unless I'm just dumb and missed it. So I'm thinking of ending things. The next books, because I combined these 2, were Heartstoppers Volume 1 and 2. I want to get the 3rd one, I just haven't yet. And these were amazing. Get them. Read them. If you need a graphic novel, lighthearted, swoony, like, do it. It essentially follows 2 characters, Nick and Charlie. Charlie is out as gay, not to his own accord. He was bullied, and it came out that he was gay. The second character is Nick, who's a rugby player, and it's just their sort of like coming of age story, figuring out who they are in high school, and like their sexuality, and like trying to discover and navigate all of that. It's adorable. I love it. It gives you all the feels. Super fast reads, despite how chunky they might look. There isn't too much dialogue on each page. Also, the first one is gorgeously teal or mint, and I love it. The second one is just black and white, but I do highly recommend both of these. I plan to pick up the 3rd one very soon. So that's Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. Sorry, I don't think I said that. The next book I read was another audiobook, and I really, really, really want to buy this book so I have a physical copy because I loved it so much. And that book is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. This book was so amazing. I read it on an audiobook, and the audiobook dialogue was just brilliant. I loved how every character had a different voice. You could tell who was talking. It made it so fun to read. I gave this book 4 stars. I loved the cast of friends that was in the book. It's essentially the story of Amira, and she's a 25-year-old living in Philadelphia, I believe, or Pittsburgh, something with a P, sorry. And it's just her navigating her life. It starts out with a scene in a grocery store, and she's been accused of stealing or kidnapping a kid who in fact she's actually babysitting. And so it just deals with racism and classism and the fetishes, like how people can maybe fetishize black people, and it's just amazing. I truly enjoyed every page, every second I was listening to the book. I want to pick it up and like have an actual copy because I think it's that important. Also, I want to reread it because I think an audiobook versus the actual book have such a different weight to them, and just a different experience. So loved that. Next book I read was The Song of Achilles, and I read this for the reading rush. I gave it 4 stars. I loved the first half. The first half I flew through. I read the first half in one day. The second half, when they got to the Trojan War, got a little slow. took me a little longer, which is why I gave it 4 stars, because I wasn't excited to read it as much as the first half, although it was still very good and the ending was beautiful. I love everything. It was beautifully written. And this is by, Madeline Miller. It was gorgeous. It does make me want to pick up more Greek mythology. I really want to read Circe, also by Madeline Miller. Like I said, 4 stars. Really enjoyed it. The second half just took me a little longer to get into. The next book I read for the reading rush was The Shining. I read this partially in audiobook, partially, everything's still in there, partially in like physical form. So I have this book. It's about, if you don't know the classic of The Shining, it's about Jack Torrance and his family go to the Overlook Hotel to essentially take care of it during the off season. And that's the general premise of the book. I did end up reading the book and watching the movie, and the differences are very interesting. The book covers Jack's alcoholism so much more than the movie touches on, as well as we get so much more into Danny's shine and his shinings than the movie touches on. In the book, the animal hedges are animals and come after the family. The movie, there are no animal hedges. So the differences are very interesting. And I do, sorry, Frankie made a noise. I do want to read this only physical form, probably around November maybe, because obviously they get trapped in the hotel when it's snowing, and I think that'd be some like spooky kind of vibes, and it's snowing. So that's The Shining. And then the last book I've finished is this lovely, lovely gem, Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. Holy guaca frickin' moly, did I love this book. I loved it. You know when you pick up a book and it's exactly what you need at exactly the right time? That was this book. I loved every second of it. It was beautiful. The relationships are adorable. It had just the perfect amount of like steam to keep it interesting, but also like you wanted her to fulfill her list. And you read Fred Morgan, the most perfect like book crush ever. So cute. Loved this book. 5 stars. I can't wait to read the second one about her sister Dani, called Take a Hint, Dani Brown. So excited. And then the 2 books I want to try to finish by the end of July are Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is like, I took off the book cover, and so this is just the naked cover of the book currently. I'm halfway through. I had to stop it because then the reading rush started, and so I haven't finished it yet. It's about 2 girls, Camino and Yaharia, and one lives in the Dominican Republic, one lives in New York City, and their father dies in a plane crash, and they have the same father, yet they don't know that. And it deals with their grief and how they recover and them navigating life and navigating each other, because they find out about each other, obviously. And yeah, so I haven't finished it, so I can't give you my full details yet, but hopefully I finish it within the next day. And then the final book I'm hoping to finish, which is another audiobook, is called My Plain Jane. My Plain Jane by Brody Ashton, Cynthia Hand, and Jody Meadows. I'm listening on audiobook, and holy shit, I love the audiobook. I definitely want to pick up the 2 other books. It's like My Lady Jane and My Calamity Jane. I want those so badly because this one is just so fun. It's such a fun book. It deals with a little bit of romance, but it's like a little bit of like magic sort of stuff, because it deals with Jane and Charlotte Bronte, who both are in a like home for like sort of like a boarding home, but Jane can see ghosts, and so it sort of deals with like just so many things I can't even like really talk about. I highly suggest it. I only have like 3 hours left of the audiobook, so I hope to finish it today because it's amazing and I love it. Anywho, that is my July wrap up, And let me know in the comments your favorite book you read this July. If I haven't read it, leave it in the comments below. I would love to pick it up. And if you have any other questions, leave them down below. I'll see you guys later. Bye.